Anthony, founding partner of Legal and Compliance, a full-service corporate securities and business transactions law firm. Today is the continuation in a LawCast series talking about direct public listings. When a broker-dealer acts as a placement agent in a pre-direct listing private placement, the commission for the private placement offering may be slightly higher than the commissions in a public offering. One of the reasons is that there is a higher risk to the investors in the private offering as they do not have an immediately available public exit strategy. The investors take a greater risk because the shares that they are purchasing are restricted and may only be resold if registered with the SEC or in accordance with an exemption from registration such as Rule 144. Of course, there must also be an active secondary market, such as when a company is public. Generally, a company offers registration rights through a registration rights agreement when conducting the private offering, contractually agreeing to register the shares for resale within a certain period of time. Due to the higher risk, private offering investors generally are able to buy shares at a lower valuation than the intended IPO price. The pre-IPO discount varies, but can be as much as 20 to 30%. Furthermore, most private offerings are conducted under Rule 506 of Regulation D and are limited to accredited investors only or very few unaccredited investors. As a reminder, Rule 506B allows offers and sales to an unlimited number of accredited investors and up to 35 unaccredited investors, provided, however, that if any unaccredited investors are included in the offering, certain delineated disclosures, including an audited balance sheet and financial statements, must be provided to the potential investors. Rule 506B prohibits the use of any general solicitation or advertising in association with the offering. Rule 506C requires that all sales be strictly made to accredited investors and adds a burden of verifying such accredited status to the issuing company. However, Rule 506C allows for general solicitation and advertising of the offering. Accordingly, in a direct listing process, accredited investors are generally the only investors that can participate in the pre-IPO discounted offering round. Main Street investors will not be able to participate until the company is public and trading. Although this raises debate in the marketplace, a debate which has resulted in increased offering exemptions for non-accredited investors, such as regulation crowdfunding, the fact remains that the early investors take on greater risk and as such need to be able to financially withstand that risk. The private offering or private offerings can occur over time. Prior to a public offering, most companies have completed multiple rounds of private offerings, starting with seed investors and usually through at least a Series A and B round. Furthermore, most companies have offered options or direct equity participation to its officers, directors, and employees in the early stages. In a direct listing, a company can register all of these shareholdings for resale in its initial public offering for the market. Although Spotify shares increased in value since debuting on the NYSE, in a direct listing there is a chance for an initial dip, as without an IPO and accompanying underwriters, there will be no price stabilization agreements. Usually, price stabilization and aftermarket support is achieved using an over-allotment or greenshoe option. An over-allotment option, often referred to as a greenshoe option because of the first company that used it, Greenshoe Manufacturing, is where an underwriter is able to sell additional securities if demand warrants it, thus having a covered short position. A covered short position is one in which a seller sells securities it does not yet own but does have access to. In a typical atypical over-allotment option is 15% of the offering. In essence, the underwriter can sell additional securities into the market and then buy them from the company at the registered price, exercising its over-allotment option. This helps stabilize an offering price in two ways. First, if the offering is a big success, more orders can be filled. Second, if the offering price drops and the underwriter has oversold the offering, it can cover its short position by buying directly into the marketplace instead of from the company, which buying helps stabilize the price. Buying pressure tends to increase and stabilize a price, whereas selling pressure tends to decrease a price. I'm securities attorney Laura Anthony, founding partner of Legal and Compliance and producer of LawCast. Should you have any questions about today's topic, please visit securitieslawblog.com and lawcast.com or contact me directly. Inquiries of a technical nature are always encouraged.